Recording in progress.
Yo, what's good, fam? I'm your boy Trey Frazier, and I got my brother Maestro Styles here with me today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Welcome, everyone. It's the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. A special shout out to everybody watching us on our social media platforms. We're on the YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that. Also, we're live on the Facebook page. Click the like button, and we're on Twitter live at Barbershop SPOR2. And you can also check us out on the gram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. What up? What up, fam? How you feeling?
What's up, man? Cooler, man. How you?
I'm good, man. Getting into that part of the summer where things are starting to heat up, like, no pun intended, but like, family trips coming up, all kinds of things. I'm trying to get some stuff with the house done, hopefully, and looking forward to this break because I definitely need the break. So
that's what's up.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, man. I gotta say, bruh, your basketball team has been at work.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Look, we'll see how it all pans out, but I can respect and appreciate them going to work immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. Because they got Bradley Beal off. Then right after that, they get Porzingis off. And in my mind, I'm like, all right, well, y'all got 3 years to get it together. So I can appreciate that they are effective. They're getting active immediately.
Yep.
So yeah, because in my mind, they got 3 years to make this team a playoff team, and that's the expectation for me.
Yeah. So let's kind of recap that. So you kind of alluded to it. Bradley Beal, the first domino to go down, goes to Phoenix, and the Wizards get back a couple. If I remember the compensation correctly, it was a couple second-round picks or something like that.
Well, later it turns out that that it's going to eventually turn to and please don't quote me on this. This is why I could be wrong on my podcast, but I believe that is going to end up in 4 first rounders overtime and 6 second rounders overtime.
Okay.
So the initial information that we got was a little premature.
Yeah. I think they were, and I think that's why that deal went into effect maybe some days later, because I think they were still trying to figure out the logistics and all that stuff, and
right.
Which picks they get, and what's conditional and all that stuff. I still don't even know how like the whole conditional picks thing works, but they, it took some days for them to kind of figure that out. So you got that domino to fall. The next domino to fall was Kristaps Porzingis. So he elects to opt into that $33 million in the final year of the contract so that they can pull the trade off between them, Boston and Memphis, that was a three team trade right there. So Porzingis goes to Boston, Marcus Smart goes to Memphis, and Tyus Jones comes back to DC. So we could talk about that part of it before we get to the real real deal.
Well, I mean, look, man, that's a good piece. He was looking to start, to my understanding. He was looking to get us get in a position where he could start, and obviously I think he was like 18-6 starting with Memphis last year.
Yeah, when John Morant was missing them games,
something like that. Yes, he was something like that when he was out. So he's looking to get a starting position. And look, this is a good opportunity for him. So again, just me. I don't know if I have a real opinion about any of this yet. I know that Michael Winger got 3 years.
Wait a minute. Back up. You don't have a real opinion on this.
I don't know because for me, Tyus Jones is a good player. I'm not sold on him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I'm not looking at this guy like, oh, that's the point guard of the next 10 years.
Oh, so you was just being emotional on Twitter when you was talking about he got to be Jalen Brunson. He got to put up them Brunson numbers.
Because that's not real. I mean, I ain't gonna say it's not realistic because it could happen. But if we're to make the playoffs this year. Mm-hmm. That's the type of production I'm expecting. Yes.
Okay. But is that the expectations though? Okay.
No.
Okay. Okay. Because I think Tyus Jones is a pretty solid point guard. I think he can start for a bunch of teams in the league, and I think
a bunch of teams.
I think he can start for a bunch of teams, and when I say a bunch, I'll say maybe 1/3 of the league. So that's like 10 teams.
Okay.
Right
10
there.
teams. Okay.
So. Yeah, you alluded to it, 18-6 when Morant was, sidelined in Memphis for, that period of time. He's got tape that shows you he can ball, he can do this, and so I think that's a solid return in letting Porzingis go to Boston. I think that's a solid piece to go along with the rebuild. In whatever capacity that entails. I want to get into the Porzingis side of it, and the Marcus Smart side of it for that matter too. But the Porzingis side of it now. So now Boston gets rid of they trade Marcus Smart obviously. So for me, when I look at it, that's kind of like the guy that's like the leader in the locker room, the guy that's more of the vocal cat that's got to, gather the troops together when things, don't go well and all that stuff. So you lose that, but you get Porzingis, a guy that I think is, if you talk about a number 3, that's probably a good spot for Porzingis to play a number 3 role. given what he did with the Wizards last year.
Oh, you mean scoring-wise? I thought you said...
Scoring-wise.
I thought you meant like playing small forward. I was like, huh?
Because I said the 3. I'm sorry. Yeah. I meant the third best player on the team. The third best scorer on the team, I should say. I think that role, would fit him on that particular team. It's just a matter of, does this team now, are they, quote unquote, the favorites in the East? Where does that put them in the East? I don't know that it overwhelmingly makes them like the huge favorite. I think it just kind of puts them kind of right where they were, this past season. I think they're a top 3 seed with Porzingis. I think that the ceiling, it should be the NBA Finals, but I think anything short of a conference finals appearance with this group, I think is a huge disappointment. So where do you stand at as far as?
Well, how much do you value heart and soul of a team? Because look, I'm not going to overreact. I don't feel like this. Look, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum is still on this team, so this team is not going to be a 8-9 play-in situation all of a sudden because they lose Marcus Smart. That's
sure, of course not.
What I am effectively saying is that if you consider him to be the heart and soul of the team, and I think we all do, I think anybody who watches the Celtics sees the intangible value that Marcus Smart is to the Boston Celtics.
Yep.
But with that said, I can agree that on the books that they look kind of they don't look like the same team, but the same expectations are there.
Yep.
So that's reasonable to say. But I will say this: I don't know that this team goes to the conference finals without because who's the heart when they get punched in the face? Let's be clear, they got punched in the face by Miami, and a lot of it was Marcus Smart. I ain't gonna say a lot of it was Marcus Smart shooting bad, but Marcus Smart was shooting bad in the first 2 games. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, game 3, game 4, he started shooting well, and all of a sudden they started winning. Mm-hmm. So I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's the sole reason why they win or lose.
Yeah.
But I will say that the Boston Celtics are a different team when Marcus Smart is hitting hitting shots and defending at the caliber that we know him to do it. So now that he's gone, who replaces that perimeter defense? Who replaces that shooting? Look, I get Porzingis can shoot, but it's not like he's even going to really be in a whole bunch of Al Horford positions because Al Horford, as far as we know, is still there, right?
Al Horford is still there, yeah.
They're not going to have two centers out on the perimeter. I think they recognize that Kristaps Porzingis, while he's not the best rim protector, he is a decent rim protector. Robert Williams is injured a lot. You know what I'm saying? So this is a reasonable transaction for the Celtics. I just don't know that this is going to be the type of thing that's going to get them over the hump. As a matter of fact, I can see them taking a step back without Marcus Smart.
So you brought up the Heat series, and, I think about that exclusively because at first I thought you was going to say Philadelphia because they were down 3-2 to Philadelphia, and it took some of that Marcus Smart, maybe not from the point perspective, but from the leadership perspective, it kind of took that to kind of get them past Philadelphia after being down 3-2 and on the road in Philadelphia in Game 6. And Tatum, if you remember, Tatum had a bad game overall with the exception of those last, 10 minutes of that basketball game. I think, so here's what I think, and shout out to X Squad online radio station in the Facebook live chat. So they kind of pose the same question. Do you think Porzingis will fit in with the Celtics? I think he'll fit. I think what's going to be interesting is that so now the rotation is going to be, while Tatum and Brown aren't on the floor for certain moments throughout the game, Porzingis can kind of help keep that offense, flowing a little bit. Because Porzingis, I think he can get you some points. He can knock down some threes. He can defend in terms of blocking shots and kind of protecting the rim and that kind of a thing. I think he's going to be good when it comes to that, especially like the anchor to second unit, right? Because, Marcus Smart for so many years, even before he kind of became, this starter in this rotation, that he was a part of their second unit and was sort of like the energy guy, to come off the bench, give that second unit a boost, keep them in games so that when them starters came back in, they could, bring it home. I think Porzingis can do that in that aspect just to keep the offense flowing. Will they go to the finals? Like, what's the ceiling for them? I can see this team back in the conference finals, and like I said before, I think anything less than that is a disappointment. Because think about this. Jaylen Brown is about to get paid, right?
It would seem that way, yeah.
He's about to get this money, right? So Tatum's already got his bag. Porzingis, we'll kind of see how that shakes out. He's gonna
be a rental.
He's gonna
1 year.
Right. He's gonna get that $30 million this year. I don't know how much of it the Wizards have to pay on that, but Porzingis is gonna get that $30 million. And then here's Jaylen Brown, who's probably looking at, whether we agree or disagree, probably looking at north of $38 million a year. So this, like you said Porzingis could be a rental. This may be the Celtics' best shot to finally get over that hump. If they think that this, I don't know if they're calling it a big three or not in Boston yet, but these are the three best guys when it comes to scoring for this team: Porzingis, Tatum, and Brown. If you're going to pay Jaylen Brown, I don't see how you can keep all three of them on your roster beyond next season.
I agree, but again, I don't think anybody's going to call this a big three. So I don't think that's ever the issue or going to be an issue.
Yeah.
They don't see this as a big three. They see a quality five who had a hell of a year last year, and so we could add that to our paint point production.
Yeah.
I think that's all it really was. Again, I don't know. I guess it just depends on what they see. I don't know that this is the trade-off, trading your quote unquote heart and soul for paint point production.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the trade-off that's going to get you to the finals and win it, because clearly that's what you're going for right now.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll find out. I don't know. I think they're going to miss Marcus Smart more than they're going to appreciate Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. When it comes to the leadership, when it comes to getting in some guys' faces and and all that stuff, yeah, Marcus Smart is going to be missed in that regard. In regards to the offense, and Porzingis averaged 22 last year, somewhere around there. Yeah, I mean, this team's got an opportunity to be one of the better offenses in the league next year. They got an opportunity to do so.
They were one of the better offenses last year.
Well, yeah.
What's so different?
Yeah.
What's so different?
Yeah. Well, I mean, now you got three guys that are going to average north of 22 points per game.
You like to think so.
Yeah.
To think so.
Right. So that's kind of where I'm getting at here. So, X Squad Radio in the chat here. What did Porzingis do for your Knicks and the Mavericks? Was he the missing piece as far as the Celtics getting to the Eastern Conference Finals?
That's not a fair assessment.
It's not a fair comparison, period. It's not like we're doing apples and oranges here. Porzingis, arguably, when he was with the Knicks, was the second best player. Like when Melo was there, kind of toward the end there. Porzingis was a rookie, and that team was already bad. I mean, that was kind of like the Phil Jackson, era where he kind of messed everything up. So that's not fair. And as far as the Dallas situation, him and Luka just didn't seem to fit. Luka's ball dominant, and Porzingis, while I think he can play off the ball with doing other things, I think Porzingis, for him to be more effective and be in the game, he needed to rock at most moments. And so
I think the major difference right now is that it seems clear
that Kristaps Porzingis has kind of found a second win with the Wizards. Yeah, and I think that's more so what it is, more than anything that happened in New York and anything that happened in Dallas. Kristaps Porzingis seems to have came down here. He just put his head down and ball. You know what I'm saying? No, at this point, there's no hype around him anymore. There's no, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I could imagine that a lot of people was kind of looking at him like a step above a bust by the time he was going to Washington. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's like he's just a guy now. And when he's just a guy, there's no pressure. He could just put his head down and play basketball. And now that he's done that with the Wizards and this, the short time he was with Washington, and that got him into a better situation. I would think that he's going to go to Boston and kind of attempt to do the same thing, but with a better team.
Right, and knowing that he doesn't have the pressure on him to carry the load and be the guy, he's going to a team with two all-star players. Like, that's different than being the second best player on a bad team, or the better player that's on a bad team. Like those situations are not comparable to what this Boston situation is. So I think, like you, it's just not fair. It's just not fair to compare those situations. But let's get to the Marcus Smart part of it. Memphis, I think. Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I think when it comes to, when we just talked about it, Boston's losing heart and soul, leader, vocal, Memphis is getting that, right? Yeah. Like, Memphis is getting that. We talked about how Memphis has been, quote unquote immature, the whole Dylan Brooks thing, and, Ja going through what he's going through. This is, on the surface, this is a great pickup for Memphis, and I think he brings that locker room, a little closer. And, Steven Adams, when he gets back healthy and stuff, that's another guy that's going to, bring a little bit of leadership as well. Maybe not so much on the vocal part of it, but just kind of how, the mannerisms go, watching him, do what he does as far as like routine and things like that. And so I like this. Now, we're talking about them in the Western Conference where you got the champion Nuggets, waiting for you, and, Golden State, which we'll talk about in a minute, who appear to be trying to go for one last hurrah. You still got them there, and who knows what the LA teams are going to do as far as the Clippers and the Lakers are concerned. So Memphis, like I said, this is a great pickup. It keeps them in that conversation of Western Conference contenders. It keeps them in that conversation. What say you, bro?
Let me ask you a question.
What's good?
We talked about it last week where we kind of ranked the Western Conference teams, and you put Golden State over
Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
With what happened over the past week, you still got Golden State over Memphis. Meaning Memphis gains Marcus Smart, and Golden State gains Chris Paul. You still riding with Golden State?
And they still have a chance to bring back Draymond. And I think if they bring back Draymond, I think I'll maintain my list from last week or whenever I made that list. But and everything tells me that they're gonna sign Draymond back. I mean, you don't trade Jordan Poole. We kind of talked about it. Like, you can't keep those two guys on the same roster. One of them had to go, and the one domino fell, which we'll talk about. To me, they're bringing Draymond back. So as long as that happens, yes. Now, if they don't, and somehow, surprisingly, he ends up someplace else, then I seriously gotta consider moving Memphis ahead of them.
Ain't he talking about he won $100 million?
Did I hear something like that? Yeah,
I feel
guess.
like I might have seen or heard something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't see them giving that man $100 million at 35 years old.
It makes you wonder the Bob Myers departure. You're wondering if Myers is still there. Like, does he? I mean, is he forced to, not sign Draymond Green, or the other way around? Because there's a lot of criticism about this particular trade for CP3. There's a lot of things that don't right. There's a lot of things that make no sense about it. On both ends. It doesn't make sense, but more so particularly for Golden State. And so didn't want to go off topic here. We're talking about the rankings there, but yeah. I would seriously think about catapulting Memphis over Golden State if they don't re-sign Draymond Green here. Shout out my man Mike Patton here, touring the AFC South in the YouTube live chat. He says over under for Poole being on the injured list once at least for sore shooting elbow. And then he says love the Smart pickup from Memphis. So everybody seems, for the most part, on board with the Memphis, with the Memphis move there for Marcus Smart there. So
I think Jordan Poole is going to average 25 next season, and I think he's going to play a majority of the season.
He's going to have that liberty now to kind of do what he wants. Yeah,
yeah.
He's certainly going to have that. So,
yeah.
Let's kind of dive into that. The pool party in DC. Like, what's they're rebuilding.
Again, props to Michael Winger, and props to him because he's getting to it fast.
Everybody was a little discouraged at first, and now they're starting to see, okay, all right, this might not be as bad as it looked in the beginning.
Yep.
So again, like I said, I'm a trust them. I will say it looks questionable when it looks questionable, but I'm like, all right, I seen what you did with the Clippers. The Clippers had a nice roster. You know what I'm saying? I seen with Slim in Oklahoma City that came over. Mm-hmm. He was trying to put something together. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, right.
I'm just.
And dude was with the Hawks too. I thought one of them cats was with the Hawks too, and the Hawks, put together an okay roster. I mean, not a lottery team per se, but he helped put together, a couple good playoff teams in Atlanta.
He drafted Trey Young is what he did, but I'm trying to put a team together. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like the Clippers Michael Winger put a team together that had at one time PG, Kawhi Leonard, Terrence Mann. He had a squad. He had Reggie Jackson at a time. Like he had a squad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he put a squad together. So Michael Winger put a roster together. The Clippers every year going into it, whether you believe they was going to pull it off or not, you looked at their roster and said, that's a good roster. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna need some of that love to come to DC for a little while.
Hey, you got a family member that just popped up in the YouTube live chat. Shout out to the homie Steven right here, man.
What up?
He says all these trades and no first round picks is ridiculous, and he's upset.
We got 4 6-rounders. 4 first rounders. I'm sorry.
You gotta convince your cuz, man. Like. This gonna work out because he's unhappy.
I'm not convincing nobody.
He's unhappy. He's unhappy.
my take on it is this is a new GM who has proven himself elsewhere. So I will give him grace until I see it fall flat on face. Jordan Poole is not a bad pickup. It's just he's not.
He upset.
Yeah.
He said when in the year 2040?
2027 is the first rounder.
Yeah, he's not happy, bro. I mean, look, Steven, I don't blame you, bro.
Sure. But like Woj said, once this new CBA come through, all I'll say, I'm just gonna watch.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I'm just gonna watch because the CBA they saying the CBA is gonna fall into the Wizards' favor. That's all I've been hearing.
Yeah. Mike Patton, I agree with you. The point guard from Memphis, he thinks gonna do his thing for the Wizards. I think he's gonna be solid for them too.
Right, but again, what are the expectations for the Wizards? If your expectations, because look, me Maestro, I'm cool with waiting 2-3 years, and then in that 3rd or 4th year, all right, now we balling like we playing. But if you're expecting us to be in the playoffs next year, then Tyus Jones gonna have to do a little more than 16-8. That's just it. Who else is on your team? They already talking Kuzma might not be there. They talking about Monty Morris.
He opted out. Yep.
They talking about they are attempting to get off Monty Morris and Wright for first round picks. So they are still being very active in what they're doing, and they're treating it like every player is expendable.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying. So it's hard to say that we're gonna have a team. A playoff caliber team, and again, it's early. Clearly, it's early, but just with everything he's trying to do and building a future, we might not have a good team going into this year.
Yeah, and thank you, Mike Patton. He says the ceiling for the Wiz Kids is the play-in, and that's exactly what I was kind of thinking. Like, at best, they probably fall in that 9-10. Spot right there. I mean, you got some teams that, you got. I mean, I'm hearing people talk about this Orlando squad, like they on a come up and stuff, and they do got some nice players, and I don't want to, poo on what they got going on there. For me, it's just kind of a wait and see situation with Orlando. The same thing with Detroit. Who knows, what the Charlotte situation looks like. LaMelo's got to come back, and he's got to look like he did before he got injured. We don't know if that's going to do that.
John Collins is not in Atlanta anymore.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a big deal there. And it sounds like Atlanta's. To me, it sounds like they made that move for something bigger, and I guess we'll find out over the course of the next couple of weeks to see what that's about.
I also heard that they're not so sold on keeping Murray.
On Dejounte Murray?
Yeah. I also heard that.
Well, it's kind of like what you alluded to when this trade happened last year. You just sit and see those two fitting. It's as if they both need the ball to do what they got to do. So we'll see what happens there. Mike Patton in the chat. Orlando could be the surprise of the East next year. Yeah, facts. We kind of talked about the young guys, and like I said, for me, it's a wait and see situation. But it seems like over the course of the last 2 years, they've been they've been extending. I think they closed the season out on a good note last year, and so we'll see if that continues. So yeah, it seems like these trades too, and thank you, Mike Patton, for alluding to the Collins trade. But yeah, it seems like these guys are going for pennies on the dollar, man. Like it's as if we got away from the 5 first rounds for Rudy Gobert market. We gotten away from that, and now it's kind of back to some kind of subtle stability of some sort.
Well, because it's being made very clear that whatever's about to happen with this CBA, people are taxing people who just blatantly are going over luxury taxes to put their teams together.
Right.
That's being said blatantly. The only team that just clearly don't seem like they give a fuck right now is Phoenix. But everybody else is seeming like they're playing ball. Like, okay, they about to really start taxing us.
Milwaukee's over that threshold too now.
Well, I'm talking about, but they're not actively making moves.
Sure, they're not making the moves, but they got guys on that squad right now that you got 3 guys making over $30 million. So
no, yeah, I get that, but what I'm saying is that Phoenix knew that this CBA was coming and still signed Bradley Beal for what they signed Bradley Beal for. You know what I'm saying? Still took on that contract.
They pick on the contract, yeah.
They still took on that contract, knowing what was coming. They know more than we know, but nobody else is taking on those kinds of contracts right now without some type of stipulation, because whatever the CBA. Whatever they know about the CBA that's coming, that's why this is happening. You know what I'm saying? People are saying, all right, well, I'm not going to be the one to get caught up on some type of fines or whatever for crossing this luxury tax. So,
But that whole thing in the CBA, that's targeting Golden State. That's more targeted towards them because.
But it's targeting Golden State, but we also recognizing that even though it's targeting Golden State, Phoenix actively made a move.
Sure.
That would put them in Golden State territory.
Sure. I get that. I'm just saying that when they came up with the idea for the CBA and whatever the literature is, this is all in response to what Golden State has done for the last 5-6 seasons. Going back to the KD acquisition and, signing Jordan Poole to that contract. And, while they got other guys on there that's got, big money. So, yeah.
I'm telling you, bro, I don't think Golden State going to be. I don't think they're gonna be there. They'll be in the playoffs. I ain't gonna go that crazy. But
right.
I see a lot of people talking about, like you, for instance, that they the 3rd best team in the West, and I don't see it. I don't see it.
Yeah, I think they just got to be strategic about it. I think so. Let's talk about it. So, this is the surprise of all the trades that happened over the past week. CP3, who got traded to the Wizards for what was that? What trade was that?
The Beal.
The Beal trade. The Beal trade.
Yeah.
So now the Wizards, in return, they send off CP3 over to Golden State. Jordan Poole comes back to DC, and
same kind of money. So
the money's still the same. I got Warriors fans on the timeline going nuts, going crazy, like, what the hell y'all doing? Like, where's Bob Myers at? Like, I'm seeing all kinds of, like, crazy, like, panicking stuff going on. And so your thoughts on this and how this all is gonna work, because they came out and they said he gonna be part of the team. Like, they're not gonna flip him, anywhere else. They
What
came
you
out.
gonna flip him for?
So, huh?
It's not like he's flippable. He's not flippable.
Well, the Wizards just flipped him.
I mean, no, I wouldn't say they
flipped Chris Paul. Come on, bro. He got traded to the Wizards, and then the Wizards flipped him. I mean, now we could talk about compensation. We could talk about who's in the package.
That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm like, I don't feel like that's a flip. I feel like a flip.
That's a flip to me.
All right. I mean, sure. I mean,
it's a flip. It's just all about what components are a part of the flip. That's really what we're kind of questioning here. But
yeah, well, okay. Well, let me say I don't think that was the best flip that but it was a good flip because it's like, what can you really get for Chris Paul? Mm-hmm. So you know what? I take it back. That is a flip because what could you really get for Chris Paul? Like I just think at that point, Chris Paul, he was at that point. They kept him, so he's getting the $30 million.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
They was supposed to waive them, so they would have owed him 15, but they ended up keeping him and trading him. So now he gets the $30 million. The Wizards are still on the hook for some of that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So they're on the hook for some of that, and then they got Jordan Poole. But I would hope, and I don't know all the details of the trade. I would hope that the Warriors are still responsible for some of Jordan Poole.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
because that's what $27 million right there for year one,
right.
And then it goes up to like the 30s in a couple of years. Yeah.
Right. So I would hope that the Warriors are responsible for something, at least in that first year, responsible for something. But with that being said, I like it for the Wizards though. It's trash for the Warriors, but I like it for the Wizards.
Mm-hmm. So what happens here? So let me Mike Patton in the YouTube live chat. So he says, I like CP3 coming off the bench and helping the young guys like Moody and Kuminga, and also being the facilitator for Clay and Curry off screens when he's on the court. That sounds like that could be like that could work. That sounds like that could work.
Chris Paul is slow. He don't run nothing fast. He don't do nothing fast. No more.
Of course not.
Well, that's the thing. The Warriors. I mean, look, are the Warriors prepared to stop running?
I mean, it's not like the Warriors got spring legs here. Like Steph is 35 years old. Clay is not the same.
Ran. Steph Curry and Clay still ran. They ran.
Yeah, but they're a year older now.
We're talking about more half court offense right now.
Sure.
My point is,
I get it. But are they ready?
Warriors,
it's a change.
Do they even want to do it? Do they even want to do it?
I understand. It's a change in philosophy from what has made them the Warriors.
If Chris Paul is going to be an integral part of the offense, meaning if he starts, that offense is going to be slower. Now, if you're talking about second unit, okay, maybe that doesn't have as big as an impact on the Warriors as him being a starter.
Right.
But if he's a starter, that offense is going to be slow.
Well, that's what Mike Patton was saying. He was saying he likes him coming off the bench. So I think he was saying all that in terms of if he's coming off the bench. Now, if he's a starter, then that's a totally different game there.
And I don't like that. So when you speak about things like setting up Clay and Steph, they've gone. They like to run.
Well, yeah, I hear you. And yes, it's going to be a change in philosophy from what has made them the Warriors. But let's keep in mind here, we saw what they did last year. We know they can still run and everything, but these guys are getting older. It's just a fact.
But are you saying? But okay, they're a year older. That's valid.
Yeah.
But that don't change what their philosophy is. They're gonna want to do that because that's what they like to do.
Is that going to be best for them to do so as they're a year older?
Yes. I'll answer plainly. Yes, it's going to be just fine. They're not going to. They're not all of a sudden at 35 and 36, however old Clay is. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, they're going to be my kind of slow. You know what I'm saying? Sure,
yeah.
They may be a step slower.
Because I don't see them falling off a cliff per se. Like I don't see like a precipitous drop or anything like that.
But they were the 7th seed last year, 6th seed last year.
The 6th seed, yeah.
Yeah, but they'll probably be that again. But I don't think they'll be the kind of fear that I feel like people had, not me per se, but people had of them getting into the playoffs at the 6th seed. I don't think I don't think they're going to be that same team if they're more focused on half court offense than rebounding and going.
Doesn't mean that they can't be back at the 6th seed though. I won't gauge their 100%. Philosophy into where they fall in the standings, but I'll say this. I think this could go from a team that loves to run, that's used to running, and sort of throughout the season kind of gradually, slowly kind of morph into some half-court offense. Like you could see them incorporate that. You could see them do that in some instances.
But we do understand that the Warriors play their best, or historically the Warriors have played their best basketball when they can run, stop at the 3-point line and pop.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Of course, of course.
Yeah, like that if that goes away, let's say 15-20% per game, that's going to be a difference. Not necessarily, again, I'm not talking about them not making the playoffs. I'm talking about
championship. You're talking about a championship.
Because when we're talking about the Warriors, that's out at this stage of the game we should be talking about. We're not talking about them making the playoffs. We penciled them into the playoffs.
But this Chris Paul move, along with, and in my opinion, Draymond is going to come back. They try and go for one last run.
Yeah, they're not going to win if they got to slow down. That's my opinion. They're not going to win if they slow down.
Okay, I mean, yeah, and if you're going to compare it to the Denvers of the world, that's that like to run and their style of offense, and Sacramento is on the come up. That team is going to be doing a lot of running. Yes, I agree with you.
And here's the other piece. I'm glad you brought Sacramento up.
Yeah.
When it was time to take over.
Mm-hmm.
Steph Curry took the ball and did what he wanted.
Yeah.
Chris Paul better know that that's what's going to have to happen.
Sure. And I don't think Chris Paul is like going to be like, nah, you can't do that. I'm going to get my shots off.
That's what you're saying, and I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that Chris Paul better know, because since Kevin Durant, that would be the biggest star they actually brung into the fold of that dynasty. This would be the second biggest star they brought in.
Yeah, because let's be clear. Oh, go ahead.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
When Kevin Durant came in, it was ran for Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry wasn't having such a great, great finals appearances.
Yep.
If Chris Paul decides he want to take a shot, but it's out of the flow of what Steph Curry like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're throwing your best player off a position. You're throwing them off a rhythm.
Yeah. Look,
those little small things can be the reasons why you lose to a Sacramento in a Game 7.
I think Chris Paul at this stage of his career has to. He has to understand. Look, bro, you ain't got no rings, bro. This team that you just got traded to, these guys got rings.
But he also on Pivot Podcast talking about, I'm so competitive and I like to compete, and I, you know what I'm saying, like
he could do that, and he could feel that way.
That energy,
right? And he could feel that way, but that don't mean you can't, start to play smarter. And I know he's a smart guy and all that stuff, but I'm just saying you could still be competitive, you could be fiery, and you could have all that stuff, but that don't mean you got to be, the best player on the team.
Yeah, well, what I'll say is that you're asking him to learn a lot in one season, meaning Chris Paul.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say, because he's used to being able to shoot when he want to shoot.
Right. Let me read something from Mike Patton here. He said, Maestro, you forgot that in the half-court offense, they actually ran screens for Curry and Clay. Imagine Chris Paul running a pick and roll with hundreds. I think he's trying to say something else there. With someone coming off of that and having Clay on the opposite corner and Steph in the adjacent corner. That's scary. What do you think about that?
I mean, sure, that don't scare me. It don't scare me like Steph Curry bringing the ball up and you being in fear for that he might pull it from wherever he want to pull it from.
They don't. The half court scenario doesn't. I don't think defenses fear that half court situation as much as they fear Steph Curry bringing the ball up and saying, you know what, right here because you stood here and I stood here, I'm gonna shoot right here, and because you wasn't ready. I don't think it's the same thing.
Yeah, well, Mike's got a lot of confidence that this could work. I don't know. Hey, Mike, let us know. Like, you think this is a true championship contender with Chris Paul, and I kind of want to know if you think Draymond's going to come back.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about them having a good
season and being a 1 seed. They could be a 1 seed for all I care. They're still talking about championship.
Every move that they made up to this point now tells me they going for one last hurrah to try to get one more chip. Like,
and let's be clear, they won one last year or 2 years ago. So
2 years ago, yeah. I mean, obviously they were trying to get it this year, but things didn't work out, and so They really trying to go for it this year, bro. I think they're trying to do it, and don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you start seeing some half court offense out of this.
I mean, you ain't gonna have no choice. We're gonna see it.
Yeah,
you ain't got no choice.
Right, and that's what I mean. Like, and just so to be clear, I'm not saying that this offense is gonna 100% totally be half court offense. I'm saying they're gonna have to incorporate some of that. Now that you got CP3, a slower player on the roster, you're gonna have to incorporate some of that into this offense.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm saying that's why this is not a good move, because you have to incorporate. And again, if it's even 15% more half court than it used to be, that could be the thing that where a Denver who likes to run, or a Sacramento who's a younger team that want to run, that could affect rhythm.
Right.
Just could flat out affect rhythm. And the way I see it, the less the ball is in Steph Curry's hands, the worse.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Mike, in the YouTube live chat, CP3 always knows when to shoot and pass for sure. He ain't crazy enough to freeze out Steph Curry. Also says CP3 will be fine. They're a contender with Curry at all times. And CP3 wants the ring more than anything. So trust he going to do what he got to do. And that kind of goes to my point about, he's the guy. Like, he's the Clyde Drexler in this situation, kind of going back to the Rockets days and when they acquired Clyde Drexler. He's that for this team. So, he's going to have to, be what he is. He's a facilitator, but he's got to know, I got Steph here, I got Clay here. They gonna do the work, but I'm gonna do my best to set them up and get them some good shots. So,
Jordan Poole to the
Wizards, by the way. Let me just reiterate that I like it.
Pool party in DC.
I'm not gonna call it a pool party, but I do like it. And like I said, I don't have expectations.
Nigga, it's gonna be a pool party. It's gonna be a pool party in DC. He has the free reign to kind of do what he want to do on offense, bro.
If he winning games behind it, then I'll call it a pool party. But until then, I'm just happy to get somebody who I know can score. He can shoot. He can create a shot. And we'll see how that works out, because I don't expect us to be really good this year.
I'm interested to see how this turns out. Like, long term, I'm thinking kind of about like the long term effects of what this new front office has been doing in DC. And look, I've been living in this area over 20 years, and I think this is the first time that I've seen this franchise really, tear it down. Like, they're really, and when I mean tear it down.
Oh, you mean as far as rebuilding?
As far as rebuilding. They're not, they're not, coming off of the Gilbert years and doing little tweaks in there to try to compete. And then you draft John Wall. And then throughout that era, there were moments where they were trying to, they were competing and stuff, and then
we were good. We went from Larry Hughes and Rip and all that to Ron and Gilbert, and then to Bill. Like we had players. We drafted well.
Yeah, right.
We drafted well. So,
right.
Yeah, for certain. So this is the first time since John Wall that we had, or since Bradley Beal, I would say, that we haven't drafted somebody to build a team around. So
Yeah. So this is the first time that I've seen somebody come in there and just kind of do a tear down of this roster. So
and that's because the Bradley Beal experiment.
Of course. Bradley Beal, Porzingis is not there, even though he was just there 1 year. Kyle Kuzma, the same situation. He opted out of that $13 million, and I'm curious to see, what his market's going to be, because I think he can help some teams out there with with some of his shooting. I think he can help somebody for real. So long term is what I'm kind of looking at when it comes to the to this team. Does is Jordan Poole a part of the rebuild? And I guess you got to look at the money and kind of say,
I would say
yeah, like
right.
that he's kind of part of that. Like they've committed themselves to
he's 24
this contract, right? 24 years old, young. The ceiling, I think he could take a step up, from what he was in Golden State. We'll see a lot more of what he can do here because of, him playing behind all those great players in Golden State. So we'll see what happens, man. Again, I'll reiterate, I think this team, given the moves they made up to this point, I think they're a playing team. I think they're in that 9-10 range right now.
God bless. Like I said, my overall thought is that he got 3 years to get it together. Michael Winger, he got 3 years to put this roster and get them into not a play-in team, but up there with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 seeds of the East. That's the time he has before I'm ready to call for his job. So if you don't put a competitive roster by then that'd be calling for a job. Up until now, I'm just watching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mike Patton said we might be seeing some more Ice Spice coming to DC.
God bless. This is not the time to throw shade. I'll move on. Rest in peace to Ryan Mallett, who I just found out died earlier today. Ryan Mallett,
former Raven, really?
Raven, Patriot, yep, died today at
really?
35. He drowned in Florida somewhere.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Rest in peace.
Yeah, for certainly rest in peace.
Wow.
Also, rest in peace to former Steelers linebacker Clark Hagan, Super Bowl linebacker. He died at 46. I want to say early last week. Or late last week. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to those two guys. Condolences and
prayers condolences to the families for certain. For
sure.
Sheesh.
For sure.
I just pulled it up on Twitter. They're showing Ryan Mallett highlights from from his days in Houston, going back to his Arkansas days, and it's that's sad. That's sad, man.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah, for certain. So let me give a quick shout out. And thanks to Mike Patton, he said he heard Kuzma to Sacramento and stuff. I heard that too. And I think they would be legit if they could get him. Like
he won $30 million though.
Does he?
That's what I heard.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Good luck with that, Kyle. I don't know if you're getting that. From anybody for that matter.
Right.
Let me give a quick shout out to Cameron, man. It Is What It Is podcast on YouTube. That's one of the best shows that's out right now. He dropped some stuff the other day from one of his sources that he heard, and this is in regards to the Draymond Green, Jordan Poole, punch from last offseason.
Yeah, we've been through that.
What?
You talking about when he told the Bama he get more bitches than him or something like that? And
at Michigan, at Michigan,
that's not news. We said that. We talked about that on the podcast.
Did we?
Yeah.
About him getting more girls at Michigan State,
and then he said, next year you, and then he told Slim next year you'll be in Sacramento.
You'll be in Sacramento, right?
Yeah, we talked about that.
And then what was the other thing? Oh, cause you broke. He said he was gonna be broke or something like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So that was so all that was like old. That was old news.
Yeah, that wasn't new.
Huh. I wonder why they.
I'm pretty sure we talked about that on the podcast, bro.
Huh, man, you about to make me go into the archives once this thing is done.
I'm pretty sure we talked.
I'm wondering why Cam is getting so much pub over this recently. That's
I'm not seeing all the pub that you're seeing. Then
really.
Yeah, I'm not seeing all the pub.
So
I saw the clip, but I'm not seeing all the pub.
Yeah, so that clip was from the recent episode he did.
Yeah.
I mean, you got guys like Dan Le Batard, giving Cameron a shout out for him talking about the source that he had and all this stuff. So
I mean, maybe it was. I mean, I know it wasn't a news thing. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that was I want to say, don't quote me, but I want to say it was like a Bleacher Report type of thing. Like it wasn't like blown up as to why, but if you read the article,
right,
like it was mentioned in the articles saying that these are some of the things that were said.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
I swore we talked about that on the podcast.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'll take your word for it for certain. I'm just wondering why this is kind of getting, you got Dan Le Batard bringing up Cameron on his show.
Might be an algorithm, bruh.
I don't know. Well, Dan just talked about it on his show earlier today. He brought it up today. Like this, all this talk is recent. Like this is all recent talk. This isn't.
Well, I'm saying it might be your algorithm because you like sports and you like Cameron.
Oh, so you're saying you didn't. You're saying you didn't see all this.
Yeah.
Versus what I saw. Yeah. Got you.
Right.
Got you. Yeah. I'm just curious as to what brought the conversation about those conversations back. If we did indeed talk about it.
Well, I think that it was when Jordan Poole gets traded. I think that's reasonable to say on his platform, considering what the type of stuff that they cover on their platform. Like, that's what he does. He told, so I was talking to KD the other day at the game, and this is what he said. Like that's what he
sure. And I get that, and I get that on Cam's part. I get that on Cam's part. What I didn't get was everybody else talking about what Cam said to make it seem like, oh, this is something that was recently brought to light. That's the part that I'm confused about. If you're indeed right about us talking about it when it first happened.
I knew that for a certain I knew that those things were said. But what I think is that I think a lot of people see that Cam is hot and they're trying to find ways to cling to him. That's what I honestly think. I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that he leaked it. That he quote unquote leaked it. Leaked the conversation. I think it was more about Cam being being
it's catching some traction.
So people want to kind of attach themselves and be down with the cool kids, for lack of a better term.
Yep. And I could see Dan Le Batard giving him a shout out. He does his show in Miami. Cam and Mace, they do that show in Miami, so I could kind of see, that kind of a connection.
Dan Le Batard, the same dude that was talking about Willis Reed wasn't that nice, and I don't know why y'all was talking about him like days after he died.
I think it was on that show. I don't know if it was Dan Le Batard. It might have been one of them other dudes that was on there saying that.
Shit.
But I forgot all about that. But yeah, man. So forget I mentioned that since it's not current news, since that's old news.
We fuck with Cam.
Yeah. Shout out to Cam, man.
And Mace for that matter.
And Mace too, man, and Stat Baby too. I want to shout them out too. But I watched the Stephen A. episode from beginning to end. That was a dope episode, man. So and let me give a shout out too. Speaking of Stephen A., Jeff Fox, friend of the show. He's got his own Miami. He's got his Miami Man Cave podcast. He had Stephen A. on that joint too, so I got to sit and watch that episode.
But he actually shouted out Jeff Fox on
Cam's show. It was on Cam's show. Yep. It was on Cam's show. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So them dudes in Miami, they doing some big things down there, man. So, shout out to them, man. Shout out to Big Kev 303 in the YouTube live chat.
What
man.
up?
Appreciate you. Did we cover pretty much all the trades and stuff? Like all the madness.
I'll be honest. Everything that meant something to me. I'll tell you that. I mean, unless you feel some kind of way about John Collins going to Utah, I don't.
No, I don't. I don't. Like I said, I think the Hawks that was a move to try to make a bigger move.
Yeah, 78. Yeah, they were $78 million. To my understanding, they got $78 million off the books. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
I saw. I don't know. I'm gonna say that this is not super important, but I'll mention it anyway because I saw it. Mm-hmm. Derek Carr was interviewing with somebody, and I guess they was talking about him being benched at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. I guess he was expressing that he was upset. And what I didn't catch is that he said, I'm paraphrasing, I knew it was over when they made my wife cry. Mm-hmm. I wonder what they could have said or did to make Derek Carr's wife cry. But as far as you getting benched, bruh, yeah, you I mean, I hate to be the guy. You kind of deserve that shit.
The writing was on the wall when he got benched. We knew it. I'm what I'm curious about, speaking of the Raiders, the last time we heard about the Jimmy Garoppolo stuff with the failed physical and whether they were gonna grant that contract or not, like we haven't heard anything else about that, or I haven't anyway.
I haven't. Neither have I.
Yeah, so that's kind of in the dark right now. I'm wondering if he's gonna be the quarterback for the team. I haven't heard anything, so yeah. Mike Patton in the chat says the Hawks are trying to get out from under the apron, meaning they're trying to get out from some of these deals and stuff. So
million, they got $78 million off of allegedly.
Yep.
So.
Yep. But I gotta wonder what Deontay Murray's money is too.
Yeah.
I know it's probably $20 million.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him out of there too. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I didn't feel that experiment didn't work. I guess it's only been 1 year, but
yeah. So, well, I guess in some other news with the NBA, so Dame and his agent sat down with the Trailblazers brass this week, and I guess talked about how they were gonna, take these steps moving forward. And it turns out that Dame just wants the team to build, to build around him,
Of course.
Yeah. So,
man, we know that.
But you know what I think is happening here. So this is what I think is happening here. Dame doesn't want to be the bad guy. He's basically waiting for the Blazers to just throw their hands up and say, okay, we had enough. We're going to trade you wherever. Like, we're not waiting for you to come out and say this. I think Dame don't want to be labeled as the guy that, left, the guy that ran away.
For that.
No, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. But
nobody would.
No, I get that.
You're a diehard Blazer fan.
No, I get that, but I think that's what's happening here. And, if that's the case, then hey, kudos to you. You're just trying to play ball, regardless of wherever you play ball at. So, but do you still see Dame getting traded at some point before the season starts?
I believe I was at 51-49
last week.
Yeah.
I stayed there. 51-49.
Mm-hmm.
I think he goes.
Miami, right?
Yep. I think
Miami.
He goes.
Yeah.
That's a championship team. You want to win a championship, they drafted your replacement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
They drafted your replacement, and Scoot Henderson is nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shout out to Scoot Henderson, man. Yeah. Thanks for bringing up the draft too, because and not that I was crazy about this draft. I mean, everybody knew that Wei was going number one. I think the one surprise was that we thought Charlotte was going to get Scoot Henderson.
They got Andre Miller.
And then they got Brandon Miller. Shout out Andre Miller, the OG. Mm-hmm. They got Brandon Miller. So have you seen some of the comments that Brandon Miller has made in the past week?
Yeah, basically that he fuck with PG-13 over everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you entitled to that.
Yep. And so
Wrong, but you're entitled to it.
So the other thing he said during his interview after he got drafted was he expects the Charlotte Hornets to be in the NBA Finals. So for me, I mentioned those two things not to decipher whether he's crazy or whether he's just saying that the belief or whatever. I bring it up because I think he's making these comments to distract from the potential conversations about what happened when he was at Alabama this past college football season with the mother losing her life.
I don't think he's. I would hope that because to be honest, if I'm in the locker rooms asking questions, saying that wouldn't deter me from that question at all. I think he's just saying all the right things because that's what you're supposed to do as an NBA or a prospect in any sport. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to come in there and be confident. You're supposed to come in there and say your expectation is the finals. You're supposed to come in and I hope that he's wise enough, or the people advising him are wise enough to know that you saying, "Oh, Charlotte's going to the finals," is not a good distraction to somebody that wanted to ask the question. Quite frankly, I think nobody's asking the question because nobody really want to dive into it because they know they're going to get a vanilla answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if they're asking it either. I just know that.
I'm sure they're not, because if they were asking it, we'd be knowing about it.
Well, I think what's happening is that I think media people, whether it's on radio or television, I think have brought it up. Not necessarily the people that are interviewing him. Brought it up. I'm not sure.
In college, it wasn't even a big story in college.
Sure, no, I get that. I get that point, but and all the things you said about you're supposed to be confident, you're supposed to carry that bravado. You're absolutely right about that, but I'm not sure that I've ever heard a rookie come out and say that a team that was in the lottery that was as bad as the Charlotte Hornets were say that particular team is going to the finals. I haven't heard it to that level.
I mean, is that really an outlandish thing to say as a rookie? Could just coming into the league when the idea is to bring hype to your team?
I'm just saying
it's an outlandish thing to say.
I'm just saying that it's different from what I've heard from previous rookies. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, it just sounded different.
I mean, yeah.
It just sounded different, and it's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this isn't a big deal, even though.
Oh, it definitely ain't a big deal, in my opinion.
Even though I think the conversation about the incident, and again, condolences to that family that lost that mother, and to that child that lost her mother. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we should certainly give them a shout out. And not, forget about, what happened and everything like that. But I just think in my opinion, the thing he said about Paul George and this thing about Charlotte in the NBA Finals, it's just something different from what I've heard from previous rookies say.
Well, what are your examples of previous things rookies have said? And I don't want to drag this conversation, but because
not that. I mean, not to say that the team that drafted you was going to the NBA Finals. I never heard that before.
Look, well, I'll say this: I don't pretend to listen to a lot of rookie game pressers. The introductions to the their introductions to the teams. Mm-hmm. But I would gather, or assume. Let me say, I would not gather. I would assume that that does happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, to be honest with you, I would. I mean, I think, and I don't even think the finals thing was the big headline. I think that just was a
not as big as the PG comment.
Exactly.
For certain. For certain.
It was
right. For certain.
It was just like
for certain.
Like, ooh, yeah. So I don't even think that's the big conversation. The big conversation is why he, because clearly that's that's more of an outlandish statement than Charlotte Hornets are going to the finals.
Mm-hmm. And again, right, and that's a different type of comment coming from a rookie also, to me anyway.
Yeah, that's way more outlandish than the Charlotte Hornets are going to the finals. When you know what the assignment of a rookie doing a press conference is, when you know what the assignment is, assignment is to go onto there and build hype for your team. So we know he would go out there and say something like, "Oh, we're going to be a good team. We're going to be the best team." Like that don't really move the needle for me.
Him saying they're going to be a good team, like that's not outlandish. That's not out. But I kind of take those two. But I kind of take those two comments differently. We're going to the finals versus we're going to be a good team. We're going to build this thing up.
I mean, yeah, he put it on steroids, but again, it's not outlandish because we know what the assignment of that conference is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So the idea is to go out there and build hype and hope for your fan base. So go out there and say the most outlandish shit you could think of. So he thought of something different than maybe you can surmise that somebody else did.
It was different. Yeah, it was definitely different.
But we knew what the assignment was. So it's not that's not out. I get different because you can't recall it.
Right.
But
it's different and it's different, and to your point, it's different ways of going about building the brand for your team.
Yeah, sure, but that's again, I don't want to keep beating the dead horse. That's not an outlandish statement to me, though. The finals, that's not an outlandish statement to me.
Okay.
He didn't even say this year we're going to the finals. All he said was the Charlotte Hornets are going to the finals.
Okay.
That's not outlandish at all.
Okay. I mean, you put it that way. I mean, yeah, you could be talking about future or whatever. I'll just keep the rest of my comments to myself. I think he's just trying to. I think he was just trying to distract. That's just me. That's just me.
I feel you. But the truth is that story wasn't big to begin with.
It wasn't big, but it was brought to the surface again because of him being drafted.
Who brought it to the surface?
ESPN brought it to the surface. Malika Andrews.
Okay, we agree that Malika Andrews be approaching shit a little different now. You know what I'm saying?
She's been taking some criticism with some stuff like her and Stephen A. had the back.
That's not what I'm judging.
Right. Yes, she's been in the news with some stuff she said. Her and Stephen A. had a back and forth a few months ago. The questions about the Ime stuff that she said in regard to that. Yeah, she's been taking some bullets, but she was the face of that draft show. You know what I'm saying? And she brought that up. So
because I think about all the other, not just NBA players but athletes who've had questionable past in college, and when they get drafted, they Tyreek Hill has a past. Kareem Hunt has a past.
Is Karl Malone applicable to this?
He's certainly applicable. Joe Mixon has a pass. Joe Mixon is on video, and they swept that shit under the rug. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that when you are a new athlete going into professional sports, when they know that you're going to draw some money, they tend to sweep that shit under the rug. And I'm confident that nobody asked him about that at that presser conference, because that means he would have to answer it. And the PG-13 would be the story, and then the answer to that to what happened would be a video clip. We wouldn't even be talking about the Hornets in the finals if somebody would have asked him about what happened with that young lady.
I'll be joking when I ask this question. Going back to the Joe Mixon point, did they sweep it under the rug, or did the team that drafted him was the team that just didn't give a damn?
I think it was swept under the rug. They didn't ask it when he got drafted.
Yeah.
That story disappeared.
I know the answer to that. Yes, the story went away. Yeah. The point I'm trying to make is that the Bengals, who they had this history of drafting guys that were not good guys. When it came to the off the court stuff. Or the off the field stuff is the point I was trying to get to.
I mean, Dallas Cowboys were accused of the same type of behavior, so I'm not gonna hold Cincinnati to that.
Sure. I guess I'm talking in modern day terms.
I'm not gonna hold it. I'm not gonna hold nobody to that. I mean, hell, the Chiefs drafted Tyreek Hill. Let's be clear.
Sure. And Kareem Hunt.
Kareem
too.
Hunt was So so I ain't gonna hold him to that.
No, I got you. Man, I'm good, man.
I'm super good.
I'm hungry.
I'm super good. I keep tapping my phone trying to make sure I hear when my kids text me.
Yeah. So quickly, before we sign off here, program an announcement here. So, this is our last show for the season. I'm sorry.
No. I was saying peace to the people.
Okay. I thought I missed something real quick.
No, I was saying peace to the people.
I thought I missed something, but this is our last show for a while. We're going on a break, a month-long break. We will be back the week of July 24th to the 28th, whatever day. We usually try to do it on a Tuesday, but the 24th to the 28th is the week we'll be back to do this show. We're going to do some new things, bring on some guests and, and all that good stuff. Do some retooling with the podcast. And I have to say, this run has been great. 2023 has been great for us so far. We're working on some other stuff, possibly, getting that merch out to you guys as well.
Not possibly, but getting it out. We'll make the announcement when it's ready.
Yep, absolutely.
Keep all that on the hush, bro. We'll make the announcements. Hey, if you follow us, you follow us. If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. We on all social media outlets. At Barbershop SPOR2 on Twitter, at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast, everywhere else. You know what I'm saying? Hey, tap in.
Yep.
Tap in.
Yep. So, again, we appreciate everybody. We
absolutely
appreciate the fans. We appreciate, the people that tune into us, that listen to us, support us on the regular. Everybody in the Twitter streets and the IG streets, we see you guys. Something break. Big news breaks in the middle of this break that we got. I'm gonna try to do some IG live kind of stuff, only for big news only. There's that. Continue to follow us, on the YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. Let your friends know about our Facebook page. Click the like button. Also, at Barbershop SPOR2 is the Twitter handle. Hit us up on the IG at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Write us a review.
Subscribe on YouTube.
Absolutely. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google, Apple. Let us know what you think about the show.
Hey, did we tell people we hit 100 subscribers yet? Did we tell people we hit it?
Well, I made the announcement on Twitter, but we officially hadn't made it formal live that we reached 100 subscribers on our YouTube. But yes, gotta celebrate the victories any chance you get.
Hey man, so we trying to be at 250 by the end of the year. Tell a friend, stop playing.
I was gonna say I'm trying to be at 200 when we come back off the break.
Hey,
that's kind of where my mindset is at right now. To be honest with you,
we'll talk about that offline. But yeah,
I'm just saying. I mean, I know it's crazy, but
it's not crazy. It just we'll talk offline about it.
All right. And you guys want to shoot out an email to us with some questions or something, barbershopsportstalk1@gmail.com is the email address. So
and stop playing with me. Maestro Styles Got One beat tape is out on all streaming platforms, and I need y'all to stream that, man. I appreciate everybody that's rocking with me, retweeting, sharing, liking. We appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. But yeah, go listen. If you rocking with them beats, y'all rap, y'all sing, all that. Follow me at Maestro Styles on everywhere. Go get that beat tape. Go stream that beat tape. Got One.
Go cop the album. Shout out.
Y'all play nice. I might put some bars on some of these joints.
Shout out the X Squad online radio station. Shout out Mike Patton in the chat. Big Kev 303, Mocha Bella. I saw you earlier. Again, we appreciate everybody. Love, peace, happiness to all. Y'all enjoy the summer. Again, we're going to be back end of July. And as always, folks, mind your damn business.
Drink some water.
Recording stopped.